Hey, Lord Henry, welcome. Sorry, I'm just finishing up dinner here, so I'm going to be in and out a little bit here before we start. David, welcome. Thanks for being here. Alright, dinner's done. I don't think I could give enough sacrifices to the dice gods to overrule some of the rolls I'm going to get. I could depopulate the planet with sacrifices, unfortunately. I don't think I have the Will Wheaton dice curse. His is really extraordinarily documented bad. But mine seem to come up when I tempt fate. His just come up all the time. Yeah, and Saturday is going to be very interesting. I'm going to try something on Saturday, and I honestly don't know if it's going to work or not. I followed the steps in my personal playthrough, but haven't gotten the cutscene to trigger yet, even though the journal update says it should trigger. So I'm getting a little nervous about whether or not it's actually going to work or not. So we'll see. all of these early game kind of unintended gameplay things are all really, really nervous just because they're packed in around so many required character cutscenes that you just don't know whether or when they're going to trigger. And especially with the dearth of camp supplies you have early on, it's hard to just sit there and long rest after long rest hoping to get, you know, all your required cutscenes out of the way or trying to make space for it to trigger. So I never really thought that Act 1 was going to be the most trigger-inducing or the most nervous for me. But now that I'm doing a bunch of things that I haven't really tested in depth yet, it certainly is. So we'll kind of see how it goes. That's a very interesting thing that I'm finding. It seems that some things, and this is not exhaustive testing, this is just me going through the honor mode playthroughs and then going back and reloading an old save on my personal regular playthrough. Some cutscenes do trigger on partial rest, others seem to not. Because there have been times where I'm partial resting over and over and over again to be able to reset a vendor's inventory, and no cutscenes pop up. But then I'm getting ready to leave and go adventuring somewhere, so my last one I take a full long rest, and a cutscene triggers. I haven't moved a single inch on my characters. So I think that there are some cutscenes and or mandatory interactions that only trigger after a full long rest. Like I say, I haven't gone into the depths of exploring it and testing it. But yeah, I wish I could just partial rest and get them all out of the way, you know, and get them all knocked out. Because then I would go into an area, I would do what I needed to do, and before I got to that thing that was going to trigger a cutscene, I would go to camp, partial rest, come back, go to camp, partial rest, come back, and do that a few times and clear out the backlog, so to speak. But some things it just doesn't seem to trigger. But that's all part of the stress that I live with, because these really are, most of these things that I'm doing are, like I say, unintended gameplay loops. So I take, you know, the stress that comes along with them as just part and parcel for what I'm doing, because it was never intended to work this way. But I said when I started the honor mode playthrough, you were going to see some cheese, you were going to see some unintended consequence, or gameplays, but you weren't going to see any pure straight up exploits. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. That is very true. That is very true. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode 40 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Bard gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So, on some admin notes, just after this live stream last week, Larian put out a community update, number 26, and it did a few things. One, it kind of recapped their award wins at the BAFTA Game Awards, which is the British version of the Game of the Year awards here, where of course they did take Game of the Year as well as several other awards. And that was the main thing to announce, but they also did announce that they were hard at work on patch 7. And patch 7 is going to focus on 3 main things. The first is that they're going to add different endings for evil playthroughs, not necessarily just if you're a Dark Urge character, but for all of your characters or interactions that you may just choose to play in an evil way. So they're expanding on that, but that's going to be the end of their narrative expansions, so to speak, I should say. They aren't going to be doing any more content for the origin characters or their companions or anything like that. This is kind of the last hurrah as far as that goes. Another big thing is the modding aspect of it. I'm going to begin introducing official mod tools and support, and that is an interesting concept to follow. I think everyone in the community is kind of waiting to see what that entails, how extensive it is, how it works, especially with consoles and that sort of stuff. There hasn't been a lot of information given, but we've seen games, especially the Bethesda games, that enjoy a very robust modding community. And the game so far has a very, very good modding community. It's all unofficial though right now. And putting an official framework in place and possibly making those cross-playable between platforms is a huge deal. And that leads you into the third thing that this is going to focus on. That's cross-play. Being able to work with consoles and PC and Mac to have parties together, no matter what your platform is. But that means that if you're going to do that, your modding support has to be cross-play, or else you're limited to only playing the base game amongst different platforms, which can be a bit of a letdown. So that's why those two are going to be inextricably linked, and we're kind of all anxious to see how all of that plays out. They are going to be doing standard bug fixes and that sort of stuff. They have mentioned that, performance enhancements, stability and performance improvements and that sort of stuff. So we expect all of that to keep happening. But patch 7 is going to be a fairly big thing. They have said that they are going to be doing a closed beta for PC that is going to be invite only type of thing, and they said they'd be talking more about that in coming weeks. So expect that patch 7 is going to be a bit down the road from where we are right now. Don't expect that it's coming out next week or in 2 weeks. It's probably not. It is going to be, the couple of months down the road probably, especially if they're going to have a closed beta on PC. That's going to need to run for a bit to explore all of these things. So we'll certainly keep our eyes out for that, and once it comes out, we'll see how it goes. So I think that's it for our admin notes. So on our recap, at the end of last week's episode, we had finished up with a bit of combat in front of Arfur's house. And that was because of the choices that we had made there in our interactions with him. And that kind of led us then to a couple of other small things. And we had our interaction with the strange ox here in Act 3. And he's turned into an apple, and we've picked him up, and we're going to carry him into the lower city to complete that quest. But that's a bit farther down the road. So today we're going to jump back into Rivington. There is a bunch of exploration that we want to do here in Rivington before we move into Worm's Crossing more in depth. And we're going to kind of jump right in and get us ready for that. We went into Worm's Crossing and kind of bypassed a bunch of stuff in Sharessa's Caress and the Flop House and that sort of stuff. We did the Flop House just so that we could explore some quests up there. But for now, we need to come back to Rivington here, finish exploring all of this area, and then we'll head back to Worm's Crossing and finish up there. So looking at our map, you can see we still have quite a bit of stuff that we do not have unlocked. We did move up to the Gur camp. We walked around Sword Coast Couriers, but we did not go explore it. This is Arfur's house, which we're going to be exploring more in depth today. This is the blacksmith shop, and we're going to be exploring that more today. And then here is the abandoned windmill, which we're also going to be looking at. Part of Arfur's quest is going to take us down here to the Requisition barn and that sort of stuff. So we are going to be opening up most of the rest of the map of Rivington today. We are going to probably have time to head down to the coast and work our way around all of this. We probably are not going to have time to get to the Circus of Last Days today, but we'll kind of see how it goes. So let's head straight up and kind of where we left off and head into Arfur's mansion here.
Time to press ahead.
An army marching towards the city.
Better to be within its walls than without, Martha. At least here we stand a chance.
I'm not quite sure why you stood up for us like that, but I won't say I'm not grateful. Thanks. And may Torm keep you. Same way lots of us did. Trying to get away from the army of the Absolute. If you had the chance to put a roof over your family's heads after being on the run for Torm knows how long, wouldn't you? We will stay. For now. I just hope he doesn't pay anyone else to come sniffing round. Thank you. And may Torm keep you. You're the first person in this city to have our backs. Thank you. Really.
Okay, so it seems kind of harsh to kick a rightful owner out of his house, but we're going to learn more about Arfur and why I have absolutely zero problem
Lucky there's still decent folk about.
kicking him out of his house. And hey, Smurf, welcome. Welcome to the stream. So we have 2 rooms in the back here.
Let's see what this does.
Cinta was trembling.
She'll be all right. She's a brave girl.
She's not brave, Ben.
Okay.
She's just
What's that?
You don't have to pass the perception check. The hatch is always going to be there. But passing the perception check allows you to have your attention drawn to it. And none of the stuff in here is
At least we'll have some peace now.
is marked as steel, so you can go searching through all of this.
There's an army marching towards the city.
Onward then.
Better to be within its
Now, the practice sword here and the training shield, the practice sword is actually interesting. I didn't talk about this, I don't think, in my Paladin playthrough. The practice sword is the only sword that does bludgeoning damage. It does not do piercing and or slashing damage. So you can see it is a short sword, but it is doing bludgeoning damage, not piercing and or slashing. A short sword would normally do piercing damage. Your long swords normally do slashing damage. But this short sword here is light and finesse, so you can dual wield it, and it does bludgeoning damage. Now you can pick up another one of these as well, so if you want to dual wield these and have the opportunity to do bludgeoning damage to enemies that are resistant to piercing damage, you certainly can. It's just the only short sword in the game that you can actually do that with. Okay, there's a disguise kit here on the table. You can buy more of those if you would like.
See.
Have some peace now.
Peace,
Might be useful.
peace. There's an army marching towards the city.
Better to be within its walls than without them. At least here we stand a chance.
Okay,
At least
so
things have
now
stayed
we're going to
interesting.
head to...
Another step forward.
We're going to bypass the
I'll give it a shot.
hatch for now. We can make our way into this room, and we've seen this room before here. Cinta is here sitting at the table.
I don't think the children
There are camp supplies of all sorts, of all different types in here that you can pick up. You just have to be careful of the detection cones here, because if you're found, they are going to object to it, even though you were the one that helped give them this house, basically. They are going to object to you taking things from them. I can't remember if you can
Is it
look,
look?
but not touch. Yeah, you can't even look. So if you're seen, you're going to be your attitude is going to decrease. So now up here on top again, we're kind of in a new situation where the stuff up here is not marked as steel. So you can take through all of these that you'd like. Now the key, and I have to remember where this key is. It's been a while since I've done
Not
this.
for communal use, it
Yeah,
seems.
so trying to remember where it is. It's in a steel item, I believe. So it's in a crate or one of these containers or on a bookshelf or something. Is the key that upstairs will give you access to this room, and then the key here that you get here is the one that allows you to get in downstairs. So let's make sure we have our thieving gear here, and we can lockpick.
Right tool will do the trick.
Hey, Jean-Maurice, welcome.
threaten us. To threaten the children.
And here is the toy maker's basement key. And this is the key that's going to unlock the hatch for you downstairs. And yeah, like I say, I think the key for the toy maker's bedroom is downstairs. Oh, and I drank that. Is downstairs in one of the first, stealing bookcases, I believe. So here's a letter. Arfur has been down to Sharessa's Caress a lot, but he had an incident down there, and doesn't know as if he'll be making it back. Hey Solo, welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, so now we can head over here and we'll head down into the hatch into the basement. Okay, so everybody failed that. Hers, Will, Shadowheart, myself. So everybody failed the perception check here. I wasn't expecting that everybody would fail.
Watch how you go. There's a trap.
Okay. So at least we're finding the tripwires.
Be wary. This place is trapped.
Whether or not we find all of the explosives, not too worried about. But I do want to find all the tripwires.
Watch how you go. There's a trap. Watch how you go. There's a trap. Step carefully.
So again, most of these are the explosives. But there's the tripwire. Okay, here's the fourth. Okay, and now we're going to kind of stop here and we'll bring Shadowheart into the mix and have her go walking around. Okay.
Still alive, so that's progress. Can't slow down.
And this is why you follow it's like a minefield in the military. You always follow in the footsteps of the person in front of you. So when you're getting the next person to kind of walk around to do perception checks, always follow the same pathway. Don't go walking off in a new direction.
My faith will guide me. Looks like a trap there.
Okay, so now I'm going to take Shadowheart back. and we'll go walk around this way.
Looks like a trap there.
Okay, so we'll take her back and have her cast it on Kurz, and then Will and do the same thing.
Still alive. So that's progress.
So Kurz doesn't have great chances on his perception rolls, but it's another set of rolls.
Never wanted the easy path.
All's well that ends not as bad as it could have.
Okay, and then one more time.
The pride of the gate.
Okay. So that looks like all that we're going to find.
No time to rest.
Okay, and that's going to be a problem. Because I thought there was one more. Maybe I'm wrong.
Be wary. This place
Yeah, I
is
knew the
trapped.
chest was trapped. I thought there was one more tripwire. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so we're going to disarm, or try and disarm the chest here. We've got a little bit higher DC. Oof.
Bet I can crack that open.
And another bit higher DC. Oh, and there we roll our nat 20. Okay, and this has a blackmail letter in it. Now, the blackmail letter talks about there's a package still waiting at Philogir's, and that's Philogir's Fireworks. We're going to find that in the lower city, and this is going to continue the quest for this. But again, pick it up, put it in the teddy bears, make the donation. So they want him to create teddy bears that are explosive
Might
to
be
give to the
worth checking out his
refugees.
donations. Looks like his generosity's compromised.
Okay, so now in here, we do have some more things that we can search. Okay, and if this was honor mode, you'd be picking all this stuff up.
Better not be cursed.
Don't forget that there's a fire amber here on the desk.
Light on my feet.
More toys that you can pick up. And again, you can read all of these in the VOD if you'd like. You can go back and pause them. Okay, so... Still don't like these crossings here.
I doubt a bear this size went down without a fight.
Okay, now all of these fireworks down here, the rigged fireworks, you can disarm. Now we're not going to disarm all these, but once you do, you get a Woglums. And a Woglums does 3d6 fire damage. It's like a bottle rocket, basically. Send a small rocket at a foe, blasting the target and inflicting color spray on that target. Color spray, they have disadvantage on their attack rolls, and the range of their ranged attacks are reduced to only 3 meters. So attack rolls against the blinded creature have advantage, so Woglums can be very, very useful as a ranged way of invoking a decent amount of fire damage as well as a debilitating effect. The other thing that you can do with these is throw these on the ground and ignite them. And if you have a big pile of these, you can throw them all down on the ground in one big pile, and when you ignite them, it's barrelmancy all over again. And these things can be very useful. You're going to get somewhere around 20 of them normally down here. And you can also pick up these boxes of fireworks that are down here. These do 8d6 fire damage in these. So you can pick up the boxes of firework, you can disarm all the rig fireworks and get Woglums out of them, and then you can stock those up and use them in a boss fight if you would like. You're going to have characters that can possibly, before a big boss fight, have elixirs of cloud giant strength, so their carrying capacity goes through the roof and they don't have a problem carrying all of these 26-pound crates and that sort of stuff. And you can drop them off. You can carry them with you and then drop them off next to a boss and just blow them all up. Because dropping items and moving items does not take an action for you. We don't really have a need to do any of that. There's another place, coincidentally enough, below Gear's Fireworks, which you're going to have in the lower city, which allows you to pick up a bunch more of these things as well. So if you'd like to get them now, you can, but you certainly don't have to. You can wait and pick them up later. But again, more fire amber, which is used to craft alchemist fire, that you can find down here. Trap disarm toolkits are always worth a decent amount of gold. Okay. Alright, so we're going to head back up because we have progressed the quest. And that's here. We found a blackmail letter. Something dangerous has been placed inside toys donated to the refugees. We should find them, and quickly. And that's what we're going to go do next. Okay, so a couple of things here at the Requisition barn. Down here, you have Murkon and Mattis again. They have made it to Rivington.
Pardon if my eyes are all saucer-like. I didn't realize Baldur's Gate was so big.
dangerous? Oh, it's a gold mine. So many pockets to pick. Wait, I know you. You're the reason some of us got here in one piece. Thanks. And you're in luck, because we're having a special sale on some of the choice items I picked up on our way here. Fancy stuff. Want to see? Would I try to fool a Sharpie like you? Have a look.
Okay, so here in his inventory are really two main things. The first being the Scabby Pugilist Circlet. Your weapon and unarmed attacks deal an additional 2 damage while surrounded by 2 or more foes. This, in conjunction with the Gloves of the Growling Underdog, can give you advantage on all of your attacks when you're surrounded by 2 or more foes, and give you additional weapon damage and unarmed damage while you are surrounded by those 2 foes. So they work in concert with each other. Can be very useful as an additional way to stack damage on top of a particular build that you're going for. Then he also has the Corvid token. So the Corvid token is actually very interesting. Your jump and your flying speed increase by 1.5 meters, and you gain the Featherfall condition. So your flying speed increase stacks directly on top of your other movement speed bonuses that the fly free action uses. So this can really give you a big additional boost to how far you can fly. The Corvid token can be incredibly useful inside the Iron Throne, and you'll see that much later down the line once we get into the lower city, where you are on a timer, a turn timer, to be able to maneuver yourself around a big area and interact with levers and locks and that sort of stuff. And the fly ability is extraordinarily useful for being able to do all of that. And anything that increases your fly distance is going to be very, very useful. So the Featherfall effect will persist while you're polymorphed, and that's because it grants you the polymorph once per long rest of Dire Raven. So the Dire Raven, just like the other ravens, if you attack with it, you have a chance to blind your enemies. But the main benefits are really here in the first paragraph of this. So we are definitely going to pick this up. And I'm not going to pick up the Scabby Pugilist Circlet. There are some other elixirs, especially the Potion of Invisibility, which is very nice. The Elixir of Sea Invisibility, if you don't have that ability yet, can be very, very useful for another encounter that comes up in the lower city. But these are all fairly random out of the potion loot pool.
Stay away from trapped chests.
Oh, hi! If you're here to save me again, I don't really need to be saved right now. Good thing, huh? Bye.
Okay, so we're going to head up here to the Requisition barn.
Donations? Do you know advice? The refugees. If you don't have anything to donate, you can get going.
And here we're going to open up a persuasion check because of the quest triggering. Something dangerous might be among the donations.
I'm gonna let you through because I don't want to take any risks. But you better not be lying.
Okay, so we got a couple of updates. You can see we now have a quest marker that has popped up. And here, we should talk to them about the dangerous toys we did, and we persuaded him to let us search the donation. So now we can head into the Requisition barn.
There's been a report of
Now, the stuff in the Requisition bar is now no longer marked as steel.
All these goods have already been checked
So you can pick up
I didn't ask for your
any of this stuff that you would like.
fall in and do your
And there's going to be a lot of clothing and camp supplies in here.
I say, terribly decent of you to come over and exchange pleasantries. Oh, folk come, folk go. It's a little dull, to be frank. The room next door has rather reeked of late, though. And that's coming from me.
Okay, so there's also going to be a bunch of camp supplies in here.
Blade at the ready.
And
Keeping pace.
we're going to have Will take the lead here and do a bunch of searching. Bunch of clothing, and you're going to start getting some of the nicer clothing in here, so you can start getting rid of your dusty clothing and that sort of stuff in favor of increasing your style a little bit.
This better be good.
Okay, so we'll just keep working our way through here. And I get asked, do I feel bad about taking stuff from the refugees? No, I don't. At this point, throughout this game, my moral compass is a little bit off kilter anyway. And I'm certainly not role-playing this game. Okay, so we're getting to the end of things here.
Never a dull
Okay, so
moment.
now here I'm going to change back over to my bard. I'm going to split my group.
Don't take that.
With haste.
You know who's really responsible.
This place
Okay,
is
and I did
trapped.
pass the investigation check.
You were right. Explosives. Now give me some room. I need to make sure the rest of these donations are safe. You try and find whoever is responsible for this.
Okay, so I'm going to attempt to disarm this.
I thought this assignment was
Okay,
going
now
to
this
be
is a
dull.
DC 20
No such luck.
check here. Sleight of hand. So I have a 50-50 shot here. Good roll.
Boys, trapped in the chimney. It's a bomb.
Because remember, this is a trap disarm. So if you fail it, you can't just use another trap disarm kit. You have to use an inspiration or else it's going to explode.
Can you please give me a hug? Bet your arms would be so snug.
So not only are they explosive, but they're Teddy
This
Ruxpins.
assignment was going to be dull.
They are
No such luck.
surprise-based teddy bears. Now the thing about the surprise-based teddy bears, you can see they are worth a lot. So I would take these. just from a pure selling perspective.
It's abominable. Here I die.
So we'll bring Will back. Okay, he's not, so we'll bring Kurz over and have him search this back area here.
Who would do such a thing?
Okay, yeah, I mean, climb up there to search the crate on the ground. Sure.
I thought this assignment was going to be dull. No such luck.
And you don't have to disarm that crate, David. So if you didn't get them, it's not that big a deal.
Boys, trapped to injured children. It's abominable.
You know who's real.
But yeah, again, you're starting to get more nice clothing here. So I'll spend some time, like I normally do, at the end of the stream doing inventory management and all of that sort of stuff, and kind of changing up everybody's look a little bit.
I thought this assignment was going to be dull. No such luck.
Okay, now the donations chest here is still going to be marked as steel no matter what. But the rest of the stuff up here
Trapped to injured
is not.
children. It's abominable.
So the donations chest is the one thing in here that you do not want to touch unless you go into hiding
Who would do such a thing?
to search it.
Moving in.
Okay, so now the investigate suspicious toys. It looks like Arfur's a regular at Sharesa's Caress. We should try and find him there, and that's exactly where we are going.
Have to keep going.
So we're going to go up to the south span. Go right around the corner here. And you can see there's a marker for Arfur here. And here he is.
9 hells! You followed me all the way here? What could you possibly want with me now? What? How? 9 hells? Whatever you think you know, I'm sure some gold would help you to forget. Please don't. What do you want from me? It's not my fault. I was forced to do this. Framed even. They would have killed me if I refused to rig the toys. And they're definitely going to kill me now. I can't tell you. I won't tell you.
Okay, so here you have an intimidation option. Now, we aren't the best at intimidation. So we can add advantage onto this. And guidance. Oh, it didn't even need it.
All right. Just don't hurt me. The teddy bears were an experiment. My greatest invention. A clever little device in their chest allows them to speak. But there's more. Smoke powder inside the device. I collect packages from Valoga's fireworks in the lower city and stuff the bears with it. Not because I want to. Because I have to. Otherwise, they'll kill me. I don't know who's in charge, but it starts at the fireworks shop. That's where the packages come from. Go there. Tell them Uncle Valoga sent you, and they'll show you the smoke powder. Lots of it. There. I told you what you wanted to know. Now, will you let me go?
His plea comes with an offering. A pass granting you access to the lower city.
Here, take it, all of it. I don't care. You'll never see me again, I promise.
Okay, so we received a coronation pass. We did get an inspiration here for Will, which comes with a decent chunk of XP. And we got a chunk of gold out of it as well. So now this is going to continue at Below Gear's Fireworks in the lower city. We can't get, well, we can now, because of the pass, get into the lower city, but we're not there yet. So we're going to head back to Rivington and continue working our way through down here. But that is one of the 3 ways to acquire a pass to get into the lower city. And you also don't need a pass at all if you have the fly ability to make your way through into the lower city. It's just when you do that, there are repercussions, so to speak, for doing it that way. So one thing we also haven't done is just explored this area here and opened up the map. So you can see there's a bunch of equipment laying on the ground here.
I have something to ask.
Turn back, citizen. No passage in this direction. It's bloodier than a butcher's backyard out there. Piles of dead absolutists, and a few of our own as well. The cultists assaulted the gate, armed to the teeth trying to break in. They nearly had it too, before the Steel Watch intervened. A little more than that. You'll see for yourself soon enough if you head to the city.
Okay, so we can kind of walk around this area and just see. And if you look through the gate there, you can see the remnants of an attack that happened. Now, just for reference again of kind of where we are, the south side of the River Keonthar here. This is the main gate to enter into Rivington. It's blocked off by Rivington is kind of surrounded by cliffs and mountains that form a natural protection for the south side of the river. And this is meant to be the main gate entering into Rivington. We entered through kind of a mountain pass type of area, but normally everybody else enters through this main gate area. And now you can see, if you look out here, there's a battering ram that was used to attack the gate. You can see that we've got dead bodies out here, remnants of the attack. So the Absolute's army has staged a first attack anyway, on the main gate into Rivington here. And again, just with all these, kind of have to watch yourself, because Fist Lionel will patrol this area, but you can search.
I don't need any attention right now.
And take the healing potions there in this area.
One day I'll catch a break.
But other than that, not a whole lot to do up here. Just kind of open up the map a little bit. This is where we went to see the strange ox. This is Arfur's house here. This is the Requisition barn where we just were. So we're going to continue out around the Requisition barn here.
Almost pleasant traveling with company. If you ignore all the less pleasant aspects. Then that's where we need to go. My parents are in there somewhere.
Okay, so Shadowheart's popped up and said that we definitely need to go look for the House of Grief to find her parents.
Oh, to be fair, for a miserable collection of shabby hovels jam-packed with wretched refugees, this place isn't bad at all.
Okay, and there's going to be quite a few people that you can just talk to in here. Not going to be a whole lot. This here is an issue of Baldur's Mouth Gazette. Now, Baldur's Mouth Gazette is the main newspaper for the city of Baldur's Gate. It costs you 2 gold to buy it normally, and this is where you get all of the gossip and news for the city and the surroundings of this area of the Sword Coast. Now here, we can't read any of this on our own. What's interesting though is that you can actually read this. There is a way to read it outside of the game. This is so you are able to decipher this and actually read it. And you can go look up forum posts and videos on how to do it, but it's kind of funny that they actually wrote a news thing together to put it in, and you can actually decode it. Now, most of it is copy paste over and over type of things. They didn't write that much dialogue or that much copy for it, but it is funny that you can actually read it.
I apologize for my husband and his obsession with that bloody dog.
What was that, my dear?
Nothing, darling. I need a quick word.
No, I'm afraid I must insist you do not pet the hound.
My love, you can't keep being so rude to strangers. It's just a dog.
All the grabbing and touching startles poor Biscotti. I will not apologise for caring about my boy. Isn't he just? I'm so very glad they let animals in the camp. Means Biscotti can be kept away from that awful war.
Oh, yes. As long as the dog is okay, he's happy. Give me strength.
Okay, so now we're going to continue to head on down here. Around the back side. And again, this is in front, or the front side of the Requisition barn. And again, you can steal from all of these things if you'd like. And then sitting over here is Umi and Ide.
They got me signed up to learn to make pots, which is dumb. I'd rather learn how to kill cultists. And I bet you'd back me up on that.
I'm really worried about Umi.
And here are some of the tieflings that we rescued. We obviously remember Zoru.
Some close calls. So, you survived. That's more than many of my kin can say. It's mainly anger that keeps me going. Zevlor was supposed to lead us, but he froze when we needed him most. I haven't seen him since the massacre on the road, which is lucky for him.
Okay, and we've learned about what happened with Zevlor when we talked to him at the end of Act 2. But here's Bex and Danis.
We made it through hell, twice. I know now that as long as Danis and I stick together, we can do anything.
Okay, so it is good to see that some of the tieflings made it back. And then we have 2 things here. The first is Toad Breath. But first, we're going to, I guess, deal with Fist Rowan.
Hail, friend. Fine day, isn't it? Forgive me, you're in no mood to talk about the weather. Your journey here was a hard one, no doubt. Is this your first time in Baldur's Gate? No offense intended, just being friendly. You won't find many others making the effort. Used to be you'd arrive knowing you'd a full belly and a warm bed waiting for you. Not anymore. These days, there's barely enough to go around. Add the refugees on top and, well, folk aren't feeling too generous. If it were my problem, I'd do something about it. Instead, they've stuck me guard in this door while they squabble over the donations. Some well-to-dos in the city donated enough to see the newcomers right for the time being. Only they didn't bother helping everyone else. Locals going without while strangers feast. It stoked the fire, all right. Some Baldurians are kicking up a fuss round the front of the barn as we speak. If I wasn't wearing this uniform, I'd walk round there and teach them a lesson they'd never forget.
Okay, so that's a bit of an interesting change in the conversation.
What peace. If no one steps in, there'll be bodies piled high in the streets before long. Those refugees have been leeching on our city for too long. If we don't show them that we mean business, they'll bleed us dry. We need to march round the front and kill every last one of them. Let's see them eat our food with their guts on the floor. What do you say? Tell them! I'll cut out their eyes and make them watch!
So, you're the lick-spittle who crushed the Bone Lord's thrall. Have you come begging, sniffing for our stones? Gortash won't like that. A throat his black hand can't choke the spit from. You'll need to bleed and carve this city if you want to turn him to grave meat. He shivers at the thought. When you find the Lordling, tell him Orin is watching. So Orin is a shapeshifter. How long has she been watching?
That is the first of 5 interactions that you can have with Orin disguised as an NPC. Now, the important thing here to remember is that if you interact with one of these disguised NPCs, then they are dead. Meaning that you're not going to be able to interact with them again after Orin has revealed herself. Now, that only goes for the first 2 of the 5 that you find. So, in effect, out of the 5, you can talk to 2 of them, and in essence, and that means that the other 3 will not be her. They will be the actual NPCs that you're talking to. So, in effect, you can save 3 out of the 5 by sacrificing a certain 2. This fist here is just a random fist in the back. Sure, it's bad that he died and all, that Orin killed him and all to take his place, but didn't really impact anything. Out of the other 5, 3 of them, well, 2 of them are people that you will have further interactions with, and one of them is a person that you can have an interaction with as well, just not any further interactions after that first encounter. The 4th one that we haven't seen yet is going to die anyway. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So we're not going to interact with any of the other NPCs until we get to the dying NPC. And that way we've sacrificed just this one fist and the guy who was going to die anyway. And then the other 3 who we can have extended interactions with, we end up saving them, basically, is how that works. So here we have Toad Breath, and his traveler's chest is locked. You can
breathe quiet. Move
pickpocket Toad Breath. His key, you need a 4 to pickpocket it. I rolled a 6. And then you can open his traveler's chest. And then afterwards you can talk to him.
Something's on my mind.
What? I'm bushed. I ran for days to get someplace safe, and then found out I'm last in line to get in, because I'm a hobgoblin. As if I could change that.
Okay, now what you picked up was a letter here, basically saying that there's nobody that's going to help him get into the city. We picked up a ruby, which is again worth quite a bit of gold, and that's the reason that you do it, is just to pick up an expensive jewel that you can then sell later on. Now over here we have 3 people here.
We've got to get Grunch into the city, but he's in no shape to travel. I wonder, what if we hid him in a big barrel and nailed it shut? Nah.
Don't know how we're gonna get Grunch into the city, wounded as he is, but we have to.
Okay, and then Grunch is here.
Whatever you need, I can't help you. Even talking is painful right now.
Okay, now you have a medicine check here. You can, before you go into this, you know, buff your wisdom to be able to make it easier to pass this. But it is a 50-50 shot, give or take. Without the bonuses.
After a quick examination, you conclude that your patient is pretending to be wounded. You wonder why.
Really? This isn't necessary. I'm sure there are other people that need your help more urgently. Shh, not so loud. If those lads find out I'm faking, they might go off on their own. They're not ready for that. And frankly, I'd miss them. I don't really have any other friends. And I like those lads. So I think I'll stick around a while more.
Okay, there's nothing that comes out of this encounter here. It's just an interesting piece of backstory that happens. Okay, so we're going to make our way up and around here. You can have an interaction here.
We got here first, friend. You're welcome to whatever scraps we leave behind.
Or you can just take all the half-eaten apples now. If you'd like, they're not going to stop you.
You remember that spiced apple loaf we had in Waterdeep? Oh, the big one.
Okay, there are dead chickens where you can pick up more camp supplies.
Shut it. Scavenge wherever you can from this mess. We'll make something out of it.
Okay, and then looking at the map, you can kind of see that we're making our way over toward where we were earlier at the Gur camp. Okay, I almost walked right by it.
Find us bloody keepers, I say.
Savages, a lot of them.
We're as desperate as the rest of these savages. They just had the sense to move quicker.
Alright, so time to clear out. All these camp supplies that we've picked up. Okay, so now we're going to head into this center area here. And then we're actually going to head to Sword Coast Couriers. And then we're going to make our way down here.
Did you hear something earlier? Almost like a groan.
You can have an interaction here. Just a little bit of dialogue, nothing special. Then you can make your way around. There's another mindquake that's happening. And here you can have an interaction with the haystack. Now this is, for some reason, one of the hardest checks in the game. I have no idea why. But yeah, it's an investigation check, and it's a DC 25 of all things. The only thing that you get out of passing that check is an acid arrow. It makes no sense to me why you need a DC 25 investigation check to get an acid arrow out of that. So don't worry about passing it necessarily. It's just, I mean, like I say, it's not really worth it to spend any resources to pick it up. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. It's not that big a deal.
I have a lot on my mind. And, well, in it.
Okay, and now we have the abandoned windmill here. Okay, if we make our way in, you can search all of these piles of sacks. Most of it's rotted. And then you have a hatch here. I'm going to break my group and move
Defender of the people.
Everybody over here. Kind of go into hiding.
Out of sight, out of mind.
I must keep going. Quiet as a mouse.
Going to change out my gear here. And talk to the Mindflayer.
Before you lies the unconscious body of a Mindflayer, glistening and raw.
A newborn. Unattended. How fortunate.
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways you can play this. If you wake it up, you can have a conversation with it, and it will want you to find it a brain to feed on. If you do that, it will grant you a bonus that is the equivalent of another Mindflayer tadpole. If you go into combat with it immediately, you can search it and there will be a Mindflayer tadpole on it. The difference is that if you let it feed, you will find it in the lower city, and it will have killed several people as it matured, so to speak. So from my perspective, I'm going to end up killing it here.
Oh, but it is. This one has only just transformed. It is weak, vulnerable. Its potential ripe for harvesting. Go on, kill it. Absorb its power. Just like you did before.
Okay, so you can try and sneak away, but I'm going to attack it here before it wakes up.
What? No! I've had so little time!
And you quickly learn that there isn't a before it wakes up thing about that. The only difference is that now this gets you a surprise round. Is basically what this does. Okay? So it is surprised, and you can see that it's surprised not for one turn, but 2 turns. Now I could bring everybody else in, but why? Okay, no need to. Basically free XP, and it's going to give you the Ring of Truthfulness. So with this, you gain advantage on insight checks. There are a few checks later on in the lower city, which this can be very, very useful on. So it's a great ring to have in your inventory to be able to prep for if you know that those checks are coming. So you also have, this is the note that was on him. Leave your barracks, leave your armor, you are no longer a flaming fist, but soon you will be so much more, you will be one of us. So he has been transformed. And here you have the Mindflayer brain. So here, if you consume this, you can see we just went from 13 to 14. Okay. So either way you do this, you're going to get a Mindflayer tadpole. It's just whether or not you go through the quest and sacrifice a few innocent lives to let him mature before you get it, or as a consequence of you getting it or not.
These boots have seen everything.
Okay, so now we're going to be heading down here toward Sword Coast Couriers. We're going to skip the blacksmith now, for now, because the blacksmith, this is Angle Iron's blacksmith. Angle Iron, Gildro, I believe is his name. Angle Iron is one of Orin's disguises. I don't want him to die by turning into Orin, so I'm going to skip this for now. What I'm going to do is go do Sword Coast Couriers, and then I'm going to head down around from the Gur camp here down to the beach and work my way around over to here, and we will encounter the person who's going to be dying anyway, and then we can come back and do the whole interaction here at Angle Iron's blacksmith shop. But for now, we can go down to Sword Coast Couriers, and Sword Coast Couriers is this building right here. Okay, and before I get too far down here, I'm going to Ah, yes, I forgot. I took it off. And where is... Actually, let's just pull that off for now. Somebody else wearing Firzu's ring? Okay, well, we won't worry about it then. We'll put that back on. We'll cast guidance. Okay, I might have already picked it up. Nope, there it is. In here is the Sword Coast Courier's key. Normally you get a perception check to try and highlight it, but you don't need to. It shows up on left alt. Okay, so now we can go in through the double doors here if we'd like. We're not going to, though. What we are going to do is bring out Scratch. Okay, I think we already had a perception check here.
Did you try that?
Yeah, looks like we did. Nope, there it is. For the well. We can actually go deal with the well. Now. So down here in the well, we have a few things that we can go look at. The first is that you see there are dead bodies down here. These dead bodies serve as some of the bodies that you can take to the Mindflayer to allow it to feed. Okay? So if you're looking for a dead body, you can come down here and pick one up. Now you need the strength to be able to carry it, obviously. And Shadowheart has...
Shouldn't have wished to live in more interesting times.
The highest strength here, so the highest jump distance. Okay, and then you see that we have a Bullywug Trumpet over here. I don't think I have the jump distance to be able to make it over there. I do not. Oh, I can. Yes, and that is safe. There's a backpack in the dark here that has a couple of elixirs in it. The elixir of vigilance is really nice. It's basically the alert feat in a bottle. Get a +5 to your rolls and you can't be surprised.
I'll take this way.
Okay, and somebody's been dumping bodies down the well. Doesn't bode well for the city of Rivington. Okay. So I should have... I forgot about that one, actually.
All right. What now? moving ahead. That's curious.
Okay, there's the dirt mound. And for those of you who aren't aware, I left Scratch back over here. And you can do that by just clicking this button here. This basically ungroups him from you. You can ungroup your summons from the main person. And I don't want to jump over there.
Defender of the people.
Yet. Want to have Will over here.
We'll have to try.
I've got a long road ahead.
Because I won't be able to make that back. And now you can see that we have this stone. It's connected by a rope over here to this winch.
Wonder if the gods are watching me. What's that?
Okay. We'll see this cave mouth a bit. So we're going to make our way back. And we can make our way back up the well bucket.
Seems simple enough.
And now we're going to go into this back area of Sword Coast Couriers.
When will I get to train the dogs?
Woof! Ah, you speak, which means you're not a dog. So, what the hell are you doing in my kennels?
Scratch! Oh, it's good to see you, boy!
Shut up, Dringo, and get back to work. And you've been slacking as well, Scratch, my boy. This dog is property of Sword Coast Couriers. I'll take him off your hands now. Gomwick was his handler, not his owner. I can do whatever I please. He's my dog. Now get out. This is a private yard.
Okay, so we have a persuasion check here and an intimidation check. So I'm actually going to try the intimidation check first. Wow. We are rolling a lot of nat 20s, and that does not bode well for Saturday, chat. I think that's like my 4th or 5th nat 20 today.
You'll do no such thing.
It's not just Scratch. She's always hurting the dogs.
Shut your mouth, Dringo. Last warning.
Okay, and now I have a deception check and an intimidation check to make. I'm going to go with deception here. because now my DC's quite high.
Fine. You think you can do a better job without me? Be my guest. They're a useless bunch of mongrels. You're welcome to them.
You got rid of her? I'll do a better job looking after these dogs than she ever did. I promise.
Hey, and he's going to let the other dogs free. Well, he normally does. This cage is somewhat bugged. Or his interaction with this cage is somewhat bugged. Sometimes he opens this one, sometimes he doesn't. But yeah, that worked out the best of all worlds there. We got to keep Scratch, and we got rid of a horrible pet owner. I'm not a dog person myself, I'm a cat person, but still, I like all animals, and mistreating them should never be a way to go. So now I'm going to kind of head back over here, and we're going to head back down to the beach over here. That means we're going to... Doesn't matter which one of these we head up.
You're such a scaredy cat.
Oh, I found a dirt mound here. I'd completely forgotten about this one. Okay, ooh, a black diamond. Rolled well on that loot table. So yeah, definitely worth getting that one. And I don't remember ever getting that, so either I didn't find this one or I didn't roll that well. I'd be anxious to see what your rolls in this thing turn out to be, whether or not the black diamond's a guaranteed roll. Okay, so we're going to go up here behind the Gur camp and open up this area of the map first. Then we're going to head down to the coast. And ultimately get into a fight. Okay, just some random stuff you can loot here. And some camp supplies.
More for me.
And a single crafting ingredient. Okay, so these. All of this go in our trash bag. That remove our encumbered? It did not. We'll just move our entire trash bag over there and get that out of the way. Okay, so now let's head over here and we're going to make our way down to the coast. There are a couple of ways to get down there from here, but we're going to head right down this way.
Off here.
And I failed all the survival checks. And I think that was just to highlight the cave entrance, though. I don't think that was for a dirt mound.
Nothing.
Yeah, I think that was just to highlight the cave entrance. So not too worried about missing it. The cave entrance you can see is marked with a quest marker. If we look at our map, it says this is where Nimble is. If we look at our quest log, a group of deep gnomes attacked a steel watcher at the gate when it scanned us. That was Nimble that actually did that. We should follow them. This is where that's going to lead you. So we're going to go in here and have this encounter here. Okay, and there they are. Nimble and Apprentice Larita are running away.
The boss is expecting you. Hasn't forgotten what you did for him at Moonrise.
Scratch disappears when you go, or when that encounter is finished. He despawns. He actually despawns right at the start of that. What you're supposed to do is not summon Scratch. The game will summon Scratch right when you start the conversation. He will be part of the cutscene, and then after he's done, he will stay with you. What I did is, since I already had Scratch summoned, the game did a summon on Scratch, but it couldn't because he was already summoned, so it dismissed him instead. It still had him in the cutscene because that's pre-rendered, but if you go back and watch the video, you'll see it actually pops him out of existence right before a split second before the conversation started. So you can see I'm not able to summon him again because I have to take a short rest because it despawned him.
Look, unless you're an expert in steel watcher gyroscopics, please get out of my light.
Okay, so we're going to skip having any interactions here. There's Philomene. There's Nimble, who we saw. Thola is also in here. But we're going to go have an interaction back here at the back first, because that's going to make everybody else more hospitable towards us. Because here's Wolbrin.
Good to see you. Wasn't sure you'd make it to the city. Regretting it yet? I spent a lot of time thinking of worst-case scenarios while I was locked in that cell you plucked me out of at Moonrise. I didn't imagine anything as bad as this. The Gondians have handed Enver Gortash the means to bring about the end of liberty in Baldur's Gate. And the citizens have rolled out the red carpet for the new tyrant. Resistance fighters are few and far between. My iron hands, what's left of the Harpers, and you, I hope. Good. We don't have a chance unless we stick together. Not while the Gondians' metal monsters are patrolling the streets. The Steel Watch, they're a threat to you, me, and every man, woman, and child in this city. They act all civilized, servants of the people, but they only serve one man. When he becomes Grand Duke, it will only get worse. Laws will change, freedoms will vanish, and soon you'll be accused and sentenced before you've even committed a crime. And the fucking Gondians are to blame for all of it.
Okay, dude, the blood vessels in your forehead are starting to stick out. Might want to, take a pill here or something. Gonna hurt yourself.
I heard about that. You had the Harpers all excited, but there aren't many Harpers left. These Steel Watchers, one of them is the equivalent of a red dragon. An army of them. Well, there's never been an army of dragons. By hitting the Gondians hard. They invented the Steel Watchers, and they're building an army of them. They've always been happy to provide their technology to despots in exchange for a stipend and the freedom to work in peace. They would have licked Saravok's boots, given the chance. And now they'll kiss Gortash's ring while this city screams. I had a plan to put a stop to them. But the way things are now, if we stick our heads above ground, the Watchers are on us like flies on shit. Same as it always is. Eliminate the threat. In this case, the foundry where these atrocities are produced. The Gondians are ingenious, but we're more than equal to them. There's nothing they can build that the Iron Hands can't tear down. I've built something unique for just that purpose. A rune powder bomb. First of its kind. 50 wizards high on the weave couldn't summon this kind of firepower. Get the bomb inside the Gondian facility, and boom. Problem solved.
Wulbren, please. This is too far. Everyone in the foundry would be killed.
Quiet, Barkus. The adults are talking. It's liberation. The Gondians picked their side the minute they took orders from Gortash. If they had any courage, they'd have refused him and died like heroes, spitting in his face. Now they'll die like the dogs they are.
Okay, now here's where Wulbren forgets his history. Because everything he's describing about the Gondians working with Gortash is exactly what the Ironhand Gnomes did with Saravok in previous Baldur's Gate games. They sided with Saravok, and this is why the Ironhand Gnomes have been kind of kicked out of the city for a long time, and the Gondians have taken their place as the mechanical master creators of the city, is because of 100 years worth of shame that the Ironhand Gnomes brought upon themselves when they sided with Saravok. Now the tables have turned, and the Ironhand Gnomes are in the exact position that the Gondians were last time, and he's being a little bit vindictive about this whole thing. This is the hypocrisy is being laid on a little thick here.
Ha! I knew you were the practical sort. That's why we get along. The foundry is in the lower city, down by the docks. Beautiful building, belching smoke into the sky day and night. Getting inside won't be easy, but when you do, place the bomb at the heart of the facility. Get yourself back to street level. The streets will be clear of Watchers in no time.
Okay, so if I was saying he's being hypocritical, why did I tell him that I'd take the bomb instead of choosing another way? That's simply just to get the rune powder bomb. And wherever it went. Okay, did I just miss it? No, yeah, I did. It's right there. Because the rune powder bomb does 10d8 plus 40 force damage, it automatically critically hits objects and environments. So walls, doors, that sort of stuff. It critically hits all of that, so it's going to do double damage against those things. And it takes a bonus action to to lay it or to set it. The thing about this is that you don't have to use the Rune Powder Bomb to finish the quest line of the Steel Watcher Foundry. You can utilize the Rune Powder Bomb in other ways. It's not a quest item. It is an outlined, very rare item. And having that much damage in a single 16-pound item can be very, very useful. However, you can also sell this thing for an immense amount of gold. You can see down there at the bottom, it's worth 2,500 gold. So if you'd like, you can sell this thing off as well. So it's really just to get this item and have it available to you, not necessarily that you're going to use it. Okay, so now that I've talked to him, here in the bookcase is the recipe for the superior healing potion. Okay, so now that unlocks the salts of mucus crawler, I believe it was, or something like that, that allows us to craft it. So we can talk to Barkus.
A rune powder bomb? Huh. What the devil has he become? The Wulbrin I know. The one who skipped rocks with me in the Underdark. He's still in there. I know it. But his hate for the Gondians has blinded him. He believes they work for the Absolute willingly. But it's not true. I'm sure of it. Something is wrong. Very wrong. Please, speak to them before you do anything. They deserve a chance to plead their case before being blown to pieces, don't you think? That's all I ask. Questions first, violence later. And only if absolutely necessary.
Okay, so looking at the quest line here. So Wulbrin's given us a powerful explosive. However, Barkus is adamant there's a peaceful way to deal with the Gondians. And that advanced or started the Disabled Steel Watch quest. So same things here. And Wulbrin's given us the bomb. The Steel Watch Foundry's in the lower city, down by the docks, so something that we will definitely be exploring later on. We have also known that Orin confronted us as a shapeshifter. We've seen that. The Devilish Ox, we have him as an apple in our pocket. We do need to investigate the Tsar Palace. We will get to that later on as we progress into the city. We need to know that we know that we need to go to the House of Grief in Lower City to progress Shadowheart's quest, and Jaheira has now asked us to look for Minsk, and we will be finding him later. So looks like we've solved the Open Hand Temple murders. That is now complete, and we got the target list to get us into the lower city. That's the second of the 3 ways to get into the lower city. So that tells us, and Kithrak Voss we know. He's in Sharess's Caress. We have not gone there and dealt with that yet. We're delaying that for a minute while we finish all the other stuff here in Rivington. So now we can go out here and talk to everybody else freely.
Those things are terrifying. If someone hadn't been there. But they were. And I'm here now. I'm safe. Awkward, in a word. She's made it quite clear she doesn't want me around. When I think about it, I'm not sure she ever did. I was foolish. I just want to be useful, but I'm not as good at this as the others. But I'll get better.
Okay, so you remember that we had met Larita before. She wanted us to, in the Myconid colony, she wanted us to go find Philomene, and we found Philomene ready to blow herself up, and us with her.
Now you've spoken to the big man? Good to see you. Never thought I'd meet you again, let alone fight on the same side. Glad we both made it out of Grimforge alive, and that I didn't have to use that rune powder to make a point. Funny. You're gonna need that sense of humor here. I overheard you're gonna be helping us fight the good fight. Knew I would have regretted blowing you up. Better get on with it then. Wulbren wouldn't have put his trust in you for nothing.
Okay, and now we can talk to Nimble.
Thank Gerdle we escaped that bloody Steel Watcher. No thanks to you. We did, but we very nearly didn't. Everything's lining up for the Iron Hands, though. Wulbren's about to put his grand plan into action. I don't know. I thought he would have calmed down after we got him away from that place, but there's something else here disturbing him. You are? Excellent. With someone like you on board, they can't fail.
Okay, so Nichols was in Moonrise Tower prison. He was part of the group that we rescued with Wulbren down there, and Nimble was with them in the prison. So we brought them out. They went to the Last Light Inn, and now they are here. And Nichols is here.
It stopped, but it'll happen again. It keeps happening. The shivering, shaking, quaking. Don't you feel it? There's something underneath the city, inside the rock. But when I ask the stone why it shakes, it only screams. I want to go home.
So Nichols seems to be sensitive to the mind quakes from the Elder Brain. Now in here is Thola. You remember Thola? We gave her an antidote. She was poisoned in the Myconid colony. She gave us some boots.
Gonna help us clear those watchers from the streets? That bomb will save a lot more people than it kills. Trust me. I've seen what those watchers can do.
Okay, and the last person, we've already talked to Dulbers here. The last person is Bumpnagel.
You think I want my clan facing down one of those walking death machines with cutlery? Then leave me to my work. Only if you're quick.
Now, Bumpnagel sells a few things here that are of interest, but one of them is of a whole lot of interest. So first, he has a great selection of arrows here. The arrow of dragon slaying, the arrow of aberration slaying, both of those are very, very good. The arrow of many targets, again, extraordinarily good. So we've got a good roll here out of the arrows in his inventory, and it'd probably serve us well to pick these up. He also has smoke powder arrows. These are great for illuminating hidden targets. If a target goes invisible, you can shoot a smoke powder arrow into an area, and since it does both fire and force damage, you're going to have to pass 2 saving throws to avoid that damage, and one of them they might hit, they might miss, and that might break their invisibility and allow you to see them. So smoke powder arrows are a great way to smoke out invisible targets. He has the martial exertion gloves, which for your monk builds, this gains, or for anybody in effect, but you take 6d6 piercing damage to gain an additional attack per turn and double your movement speed. Now basically what it is you can take 6d6 of damage to gain haste once per short rest. That's a lot of damage for to soak up to be able to gain the benefits of it. However, if you have certain items that make you resistant to piercing damage, then that damage gets cut in half. And you're able to gain an additional attack per turn and double your movement speed. So can be very useful. There is a cost that goes along with it. I'm not going to be purchasing them on this playthrough, but they can be very useful. The nimble finger gloves are a small person specific type of gloves. So gnomes get +2 to dex, halfling and dwarves gain a +1 to dex. Everybody gets sleight of hand +1. Your gnomish rogues or your gnomish ranger rogues, this is a great set of gloves to have equipped for them. This will up their dexterity by 2, and it's not capped. So if you already have 20 dex, this can take you to 22 dex. If you already have 22, it can take you to 24. So it's a straight +1 upgrade to your 2 hit and or damage based upon your build for wearing them if you're a gnome. So it's a really good set of gloves to have. And then you get the Thunderpalm Strikers. This is one of a set of 4 elemental-based monk gloves, where your unarmed attacks deal an additional 1d4 thunder damage. You can cast Thunder Wave as a level 3 spell once per long rest. There are ice, fire, and psychic versions of these same things. So be on the lookout for them to pick up. But by far, the most important item that Bumpnagel sells here are the Flashblinders. So, a throwable item that can blind a target. That, meh. However, if it's a Steel Watcher, it is stunned, it is blinded, and it suffers a 1d6 penalty to attack rolls. This stun doesn't say it in here, but it lasts for 2 turns. This makes combat with Steel Watchers, including the boss fight in the Steel Watcher Foundry, almost trivial, if you have enough of them to be able to use. Now what you can do is you can buy these from Bumpnagel. You can take a long rest, whether that be a partial rest or not, and you can refresh them. Okay, so we are going to stock up on these items here real quick, especially the arrows and the Flashblinders.
Now let me get back to it.
And we're going to do that by going to camp. I'm going to go down here to Withers. I actually don't know if I've stolen from Withers
Softer than a whisper.
before. Gonna wait. Okay.
This calls for careful footwork. That's a friendly-looking shadow.
Okay, yeah, for some reason it was giving me a weird thing there. So I have not stolen any of my gold back from Withers. You have to kind of watch out because the moving back and forth of Scratch and the owlbear cub can bring you out of hiding here.
Free for the taking.
But yeah, the target to steal all of that is 27. So I am probably not going to be able to do that.
If not over, then through. A private word.
This is the problem with having not stolen it before.
It's not enough. We have a gallery of villains to look out for, but now we could be infiltrated by a shape changer? I can't even tell if any of you are acting strange because you've been replaced, or because this group is full of weirdos.
I love Astarion.
I would, but you have so many friends already. In that case, I'd be happy to tag along. What a day. Step lightly.
Okay, what level is he? He's level 8 right now. Okay, so here I'm going to gain a feat. And I want alert. And at 5 we're going to gain our extra attack from Ranger. And again, it doesn't really matter what we do with these. Pass without trace. I'm going to be experimenting with. No, I think we're fine with that. Shouldn't have escaped. So where are we on Dex? I should have probably taken the skill increase there. And I've noticed that Astarion's photo is broken. Not entirely sure why that is.
Let's have a rummage.
So now he's got an 18 to get it. I don't think advantage matters. But I'll put these on and see. That gets rid of the +1 from the Gloves of Power. And again, I don't think this matters.
On the hunt. Let's get a pass.
Yeah, advantage doesn't matter. So I'm going to put the Gloves of Power back on. That should give me +9 from sleight of hand.
Don't look now.
Okay. And again, gotta watch out for this.
On tippy toes. The softest touch.
Oh, come on, Scratch.
Time for discretion. Not even a challenge.
Hey, now this is not unlimited.
Like candy from a gnome. Delightful.
Okay, so I'm gonna try one more time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't linger.
What to do? Never wanted the easy
I'll
path.
come back and deal with that off stream.
Always at your side.
Because there is a way that camp members can go hostile.
I have battled great evils, been mocked by villains of all
After,
sorts. But Orin, she is beyond even
a
thought.
failed pick. It
Her
doesn't
mind
happen
is
very often, and
twisted
there's a
beyond
very
recognition.
specific
What is she capable of?
Reason for it,
where will
but it
she
is certainly
strike
possible.
next?
So I'll come back afterwards
Sorry,
and
but there's no room for me.
off stream and deal with it.
Ready and
It's going to be a harder to pick because there's going to be an extra 100 gold in it. But we're going to go to Withers and we're going to respec.
Fate spins along as it should.
Dost thou require a new ally? Or mayhaps a resurrection instead? As thou desire.
Okay. All of these are going to stay the same as to what we picked previously. So there's no need to change any of these. Our skills are staying the same. Okay, now I'm not going to level up. I'm going to leave camp. Now I'm going to talk to Bumpnagel.
You'll be getting a mouthful of sparks at this rate. Unless you've got any decent metal on you, I'm not interested. Only if you're quick.
And I'm going to barter with him for exactly 400 gold. Well, as close as I can get. So close. Okay. And that gets his attitude up to 100. And now, when we go in here and look, remember when we bought 4 of them, it was something like 1,000 gold or something like that. So it doesn't look like we took much off the price. However, that's because our persuasion is only half of what it was previously. So now what we're going to do
Let me get back to it.
is level ourselves back up only up to a certain point. So here again, these things don't really matter. And yeah, we're gonna go do that here in a second, Smurf. Okay, so here are skills. Okay, so here persuasion is what's important. That gets us up to a +7. So we have performance and persuasion for our skills. Don't forget to pick 3 here. So intimidation, we're actually going to swap off of performance now to intimidation. And then for the rest of these, again, it doesn't matter as much, except remember we don't have Astarion with us, so I'm going to take proficiency in sleight of hand. For spells, again, this stuff doesn't really matter all that much. College of Swords is the way that we are definitely going to go. Our fighting style is dueling. For our next cantrip, again, doesn't really matter. For our first feat here, we're going to start changing things up a little bit this time around. We're going to take alert right off the bat here. Bard level 5 is as far as we're going to go in Bard for now. And Glyph of Warding. Now we're going to change over to Warlock. We could get our extra attack here, from Bard level 6, but we'll get that at level 11. Remember, we're going to go with Warlock. Make sure we have friends added in. We're going with the Great Old One. And for our spells, again, doesn't really matter that much. Level 2 with our first invocation. So for our spell here, taking Agonizing Blast and Devil's Sight for our first one. We're going to get another one, which we can take Repelling Blast with. So we're going to gain our Pact Boon here, and we are Pact of the Blade. For our spell slot, we're taking Darkness. Okay, and now I'm going to stop. I'm not going to level up the last 2 levels. And we're going to talk to, let me look at my, there's the Ring of Geniality. And I wish I knew where Urzu's ring was. May have it on somebody else. But now I can talk to Bumpnagel.
You'll be getting a mouthful of sparks at this rate. Unless you've got any decent metal on you, I'm not interested. Only if you're quick.
So now those 4 have dropped to 640 gold. Okay, so that 400 we spent to get his attitude up is already paid for itself in just the Flashblinders. All right, so we're going to buy these out. We're going to buy the Arrow of Dragon Slaying and the Arrow of Humanoid Slaying, and these have now changed since we came back. And the Arrows of Many Targets. Okay, nothing else that we're going to want out of his items here. Monstrosity, Beast, and the Elemental Slaying's good.
Now let me get back to it.
And now we're going to level up again. We're going to go back to Warlock. For our feat here, we're going to take our ability improvement. And now we're going to escape out of this level up. Go talk to Bumpnagel again. Because every time you level up, it resets his inventory.
Unless you've got any decent metal on you, I'm not interested. Only if you're quick.
So now the Flashblinders are back. And we can buy more of them, and his arrows have reset. The Undead Slaying's really good. And the Arrows of Many Targets.
Now let me get back to it.
And we can do our last level up. And here, again, we're going to get extra attack from Bard or Counter Charm. So as an action, you and any allies within 9 meters have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened, which is really nice. But we can also get that extra attack here from Warlock. So we're going to get it here from Warlock, and then at level 11, we're going to take level 6 in Bard and get our second extra attack, which, since we're not in honor mode, is going to stack. And here we can take our second invocation, and we're going to take Repelling Blast. Now, there's a few other good options in here of stuff to be able to take. But Repelling Blast is what we're going to go with. And that's going to finish us up for our level ups. Talk to Bumpnagel.
You'll be getting a mouthful of sparks at this rate, only if you're quick.
And buy our last set of stuff. Fiend Slaying is really good for a certain boss fight later on. Undead Slaying, very good as well. Okay, so we now have 12 Flashblinders, and that's normally enough. The normal Steel Watchers by themselves aren't that big a deal unless they get grouped up on you. And in that case, they can be a bit of a problem. What you're doing is really saving these up for the big boss fight later on. Okay, so one more thing that we want to do. Okay, so in here we have a couple of infernal iron. There's a bunch of trash in here that we need to sell off as well. And you know, we might as well do that while we've got Bumpnagel sitting here, right? No, I'll go do that off stream. You guys don't need to sit watching me do that.
You'll be getting a mouthful of sparks at this rate. Unless you've got any decent metal on you, I'm not interested. Only if you're quick.
So it doesn't look like the infernal iron that we have is what he's looking for. But I think I do know what he's looking for. And we're going to get it later on. Once we encounter our first set of Steel Watchers. Okay. So now we're good in here. We don't want to head up the ladder yet. Well, you can. But again, we don't want to have an interaction with Angle Iron, because he's one of Orin's disguises. We want to go make our way down the rest of the beach area here until we run into the other person that we want to have the interaction with Orin about. Okay, so I do need to cast Longstrider on myself. Hey, Philip, welcome. This tight fissure here. Now you see where we are. This takes you into the well where we were previously. It's just you can't get in through here until you open up this by hitting the winch previously.
Don't mind if I do.
Okay, so we're going to keep exploring our way down along the beach here. And we're going to end up going to camp one more time to replace a party member, and then we're going to get in a fight. And hopefully we will do this fight correctly this time. So we do have, and my cat is in front of my TV, playing with the mouse icon. Okay. So it's going to make things interesting.
Whatever comes, I'm ready. I'll go this way. That's curious.
So there is the dirt mound. I love my cats, but when they're enthralled with what's happening on the TV and blocking my view, makes it a little hard to click on things when they're in the way. Wall of Stone is a great spell.
Swift as my feet can carry me.
Okay, more crafting supplies and gold. We need guidance again. Okay, so failed there.
Let's get on with it. That's
Okay,
curious.
and there's that dirt mound.
Cursed to put my hands on everything.
Yeah, I need to probably end up doing something about that. Dimension Door is actually really, really good for, again, that same scenario where I was talking about the increase in your fly speed. Being able to maneuver you and an ally around, having a few scrolls of Dimension Door is very, very useful for that particular location and what you're trying to do. We're going to get this crafting supply here. And now, where are my... Oh. I left that stuff. We might as well make the change now. I left... thief stuff on Astarion. So there's the ring. And then there are the gloves. We're going to change out Will again. Yeah, Joe, that is the one thing that I have trained my cats not to do. We're going to change Jaheira out with Will.
Flattered as I am, you're fully supported at your command.
We're going to leave camp, and I'm going to put on my thievery gear here as we make our way down through here. Okay, some crafting supplies. And some items here.
Time to rest.
And you can see from the map, there's a cave mouth here to get in. Now to get in, you have to move the boulders out of the way, and he doesn't have the strength to do it. Too high.
Is that blood? No, never
Okay,
mind.
and the cave mouth here takes you in to the tunnels underneath the open hand temple. where we were earlier, and we had the encounter with the doppelganger down here, the doppelgangers down here. Okay, so that was the whole purpose. In our other playthroughs, we've come in here first. We approached it by going to the open hand temple first and doing it the quote-unquote game intended way. But all of these areas down here are alternate ways to get into some of these other locations. Okay, now here, heading up this direction,
That's curious.
okay, so we did find it. Okay, smoke powder air, very use, and a scroll of hold monster. One of the, if not the best spell in the game. So we can make our way up here, and you can kind of see now where we are. We have made our way up back behind the open hand temple. Okay, so you can reach the coast by coming down this same way, or like we did, drop down over on this side and explore all of this first, and then make your way underneath Worm's Crossing to get over here. So 6 of one, half dozen the other, depending on however you want to get here, but multiple ways to navigate around here. Some good crafting supplies in here. The Nothic Eye is really good for seeing visibility. And this takes you up around the backside of the open hand temple, which we've already been to. Actually, I can't remember if there's another dirt mound up here or not. What do you know? The memory, it sometimes kicks in, chat. Roll of telekinesis. And now we're going to make our way back down to the coast again. And Jaheira needs...
Looking ahead.
Stop moving, please. Arm Strider.
How much farther can I go?
And we're going to head, instead of heading back down this way, the way we came, we're going to continue on down here. And I think there's another down here, but that may just be my memory playing tricks on me too. It comes and goes, Chad. It comes and goes.
Something good here, I hope.
Okay. Now, making our way down here, back down to the coast, we want to start paying attention to our surroundings again. And it's real easy to miss. You can see the heavy chest right there. Okay, and then before you go up here, we're going to ungroup. And when you've got 6 different playthroughs all going on at the same time, it's easy to confuse where you're at. So your perception is now successful to find that the traveler's chest is trapped. We have our thieves' gear on.
Wonder what's past this.
We've had really good rolls tonight, chat. That means tune in on Saturday morning for the disaster of all streams. The luck cannot hold. And here you have another Necklace of Elemental Augmentation. You can get one of these in Act 2, and you can pick up another one here in Act 3. You're going to find that quite a bit. You're now going to start finding duplicates of stuff that you found in Act 1 or Act 2 here as well. So if you do have somebody that's utilizing elemental cantrips, then you can up their damage by equipping the Necklace of Elemental Augmentation. Yeah, I know, David. Y'all love to see my suffering. And it's got to be on my honor mode playthrough too. Okay, so as we start to make our way up here, you're going to see that we have a steam cloud. Now the steam cloud doesn't do anything negative to you, except make it hard to see certain things. If we zoom in here, you can see it looks like this is a tripwire, right? And it looks like it got trapped, and that's what led to this fresh corpse down here. So it should be giving you a hint that there are probably some traps in here. Okay, I failed that perception check. Rolled a 2. Nice, thank you.
Can't afford to stay idle.
And I might have forgotten to bring it. Okay, so Shadowheart has the shield that gives her advantage on perception checks.
Just avoid that trap. Can't give up now.
So now, before I walk in there, I'm going to refresh guidance.
Watch how you go.
Because as you progress through here, you're going to find more of them. Okay, now these are higher DCs.
I'm ready. Just avoid that trap. No one
Okay, so
stop me
Shadowheart's doing a good job finding these.
yet. Trap. Be cautious.
Oh, there it is. I think I'm full on inspirations. And I'm going to get 2 more here in a little bit. So I'll re-roll that, but you don't have to. These are just blast mines. As soon as you perceive them, you can target them. And we did find the tripwire.
Step carefully. There's a trap. Okay. No one back home will ever
And
believe this.
I believe that's it.
Be wary.
Nope, there was one
This
more.
place is trapped.
I think I passed that. I did. Just barely. And the last one here. Okay, now you can disarm the vent here to clean this all up, but you don't have to. Okay, so we do have a body back here that we didn't search. Okay, there's an agate we can pick up and a bronze chalice. And some more camp or some crafting ingredients. Didn't know who had the encumbrance available. Shadowheart does. Okay. Now you can see that we have a dying Stone Lord thug up here. This is one of Orin's disguises. He's going to die anyway. You cannot prevent it. He has a condition that prevents you from healing him or saving him.
Come to finish the job. An idiot. That's who. I started a fight I couldn't bloody win. By the gods, it hurts. Help me, please. I don't want saving. I want death. Get this blade out of me. Use it. Kill me. Kill me now.
And you failed a perception check here, but this is going to give you some indication of who you're dealing with. This conversation is entirely different. If you haven't had the second interaction with one of Orin's doppelgangers yet. Okay? So I have a bunch of options here on what to do.
I serve you death on a plate, and still you refuse to eat.
Still rolling in the muck, I see. Gortash knows you are coming, knows you have the Bone Lord's stone. Do not let him hiss hot air into your worm-weakened brain. He will not leave you bloodless for long. He will twitch you by the sinews, a puppet jerking and jabbing at his command. Remember, his throat spits lies, but my blade carves the truth. You will read it on your skin soon enough.
She's
Okay.
toying with me. What does she want?
So basically, at this point, we now know that the other three people you're not going to get Orin as a doppelganger with. So they have been saved, basically. And one thing I need to do... Okay, so it's still listed as my packed weapon. So that's good. I'm going to bind it again just to be on the safe side. Okay. Okay. So now we can go back and talk to those other 3 people, and they're going to be their actual selves. Okay, so we have another area here. You can again see, looks like there was a tripwire here with a dead body. So it should be giving you a hint.
Step carefully. There's a trap.
Yeah, the way it has to work though, I believe, because as soon as you attack her, she immediately disappears. I don't know if that's been fixed or not, because it used to be a way to cheese it, but you had to sacrifice one of your characters in doing it. Because basically what you did was you took Mage Hand up there, and you moved all the barrels into place. Then you could talk to him, but your character had to get close enough to talk to her there. And then while you're in conversation, you had somebody else blow the barrels up. So you sacrificed one of your characters, basically, and had to revive them to do it. But yes, she doesn't die. She just pops up later on with reduced hit points. I thought they had actually fixed that, though. I could be wrong. It's been a while. I mean, that trick has been around for a very long time. So I'd be a little surprised if they haven't patched it out yet. But maybe they have. I mean, maybe it's still there. And then you're going to have one more tripwire, I believe. Or no, this is the vent trap. Yeah, this is the vent. The tripwire's already been broken. Okay. So now we're going to group everybody up, but we need to be very careful on how we do this. Once you get into here, you're going to have an encounter that spawns in down here, and it's timed. There's going to be two groups that are talking to each other, and if you let the conversation go on too long without you being a part of it, they're going to start a fight, and you don't have a choice on who you side with. So I want to get in there with my main character and have a conversation with them so I can choose a side. But that means I'm going to kind of break my group. I'm going to leave them a bit farther back here, and I'm just going to immediately go in here and run down here and have this conversation. Here's the autosave you're going to get. So I'm going to run in here, and you're going to see this group spawn in. There they are.
Looks like those two are about to fight.
Nobody messes with the Stone Lord, Ratling.
Nine Fingers sends her love, arsehole. Your Stone Lord's a dead man walking. You, help me kill these arses. The girls will sprinkle you with gold.
Okay, so here you have a choice. But again, if you let this conversation play out and you don't get close enough to start this conversation, what will happen is that you will end up siding with the guild, but they won't be allies. They will be neutral, and the Stone Lords will be hostile. And that removes an interaction that you're able to have afterward with one of the guild. We want to side, or I want to side with the guild here, but you can side with the Stone Lords if you want. You can also try and resolve this. However, if you do that, both groups are going to be hostile towards you. So I'm going to side with the guild here.
You picked the wrong side, cock.
Slice them! Slice them now!
Okay, so I rolled good on initiative, which is what I wanted. The detection cones are going to be expansive here, but there is still a path around the back here. And that's what I'm going to use to bring everybody up. And now I can kind of group everybody back together here. Put them in hiding.
Soften my steps.
Because you don't want to walk in here out of hiding, or else they will be brought into combat immediately. I'll come back and search the rest of this on my way out. Okay, and now you can see the detection cones start to spawn in. Okay, I'm going to get up to about here and I'm going to split this just to be on the safe side. Okay, you can see how close it gets. Sometimes that detection cone covers up this little pathway, but you can jump over the rocks here. And now the detection cones up here can get a little weird. Okay, so they can be a little buggy. Okay. So,
Can't afford to fail.
Shadowheart is who I'm going to bring in next into actual combat. I'm going to save Jaheira for now, because I know what I want her to do. Okay, but for Shadowheart, I want to bring her right up here behind. And I'm going to start her off with Ice Storm here, because I can get everybody in this group here.
Keeping my head down.
Sometimes the only way out is through.
Now, for myself, I'm going to cast Darkness right here. Okay, and now I'm going to make my way into that darkness. And prepare for my next turn. But what that does for Kurz...
Light on my feet.
And I did forget about Latham here. Latham's got a detection cone, which is overlapping here. I was hoping to be able to walk into here. I'm not going to be able to, though. I don't think. They are marked as allies, but I still think if I walk in there, it's going to trigger them. So let's jump in here since I'm going to trigger it anyway. Okay, so I was able to make it past the detection cones. Okay, Karos is your most dangerous person here in this group.
Nature's servant.
And now for Jaheira. Forgot about that. But can I see past it? Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm gonna throw... No, I want darkness to stay up. She might go after Jaheira. She's saved on the ice. Ooh, nice hit. Okay, so for Shadowheart, again, I think we're at the same thing. We can get 4 of them here. Now, she'll probably be able to range somebody from there. Nope.
The guild owns this city.
Okay, so... I'm gonna have to go after that next, but I don't want to step out of the darkness.
This is the easy part.
Not enough space in here to cast the Grasping Vine. And Karos is going to get a chance here. We are not going to wild shape into a Myrmidon.
For the Stone Lord.
Okay, now here the concussive smash is what I want. So, on Karos. And I didn't get it to land. Okay, so I've got 85% chance to hit from here. I'm going to be taking a long rest out of this anyway. I don't think it matters. Yeah, it didn't. So let's see if we can get Shiv here. This one we will throw Luck of the Far Realms on. That frightened her. I'm gonna move back. I was going to, but now I'm not. And you are prone. Which means we get advantage. All sorts of hits going on. Perfect.
You did good, stranger. Someone had tried to slink away rather than get involved. They wouldn't earn the gratitude of the guild. One usually follows the other. Here you go. A new flavour of scum that's been muscling in on our business. Agents of the Stone Lord. Lucky you. He's a newcomer to our delightful underworld. And he doesn't play nice with others. We think the Stone Lord and his cronies are in league with the absolute cultists. This little operation here certainly suggests so. They were shifting something valuable by boat. But that something belongs to the guild now.
Okay, you have an option to try and take it from him. You don't have to. And you get 638 gold out of that if you ask for the gold. Okay, so... that actually went fairly well. Rather surprised at how well that went.
I'm done. I can't wait to sleep.
Shadowheart still has room. Yes.
I wonder what the next move
Because
is.
down here you're going to find a bunch of armor and that sort of stuff. You have a note here on Kairos, which basically the Stone Lord sent him down here to take care of the guild. I'm not going to give you any spoilers about the Stone Lord, so don't ask. And then here you can pick up the Corpse Grinder. The Corpse Grinder is one of the few weapons in the game that allows you to deal thunder damage with the weapon. There are only 3 or 4 others in the game that allow you to do it. So if you're looking to gain an additional source for this, like you're pairing it with all of the reverberation items that Shadowheart is wearing, the Corpse Grinder can be a way to trigger all of those things. And even when you miss with tenacity, being able to do bludgeon damage anyway gives you a great follow-up to it. It's a +2 weapon, and it does come with a weapon unlock or a weapon action, which is Grand Slam. So this is pushing attack, basically, once per short rest for Corpse Grinder. It's a great weapon to have, just not something that I'm going to be utilizing in this playthrough. We'll just pick up all of these, and there's a Mindflayer specimen here, so that should take us up to 15, which it did.
This way.
Let me guess, you need something.
And now continuing on down here.
Let's get going. Maybe I need more pockets.
Need to free this up.
Watch your elders and learn.
And now here you can have conversations with the guild members.
Yes? You did good, stranger. Someone had tried to slink away rather than get involved. They wouldn't earn the gratitude of the guild.
Okay, we've already had this conversation.
A new flavour agents of the Stone Lord. Nobody actually knows. Word is he's big, dense, tough as rocks, but human, we think, and definitely ruthless.
And these are all clues. And Archer Valicia here. Okay, so nothing else here, but you can see there's scrap and shrapnel grenade here on the ground. And there's storage here. You can go up here and look in the wooden chest first. Pick up more crafting ingredients.
Lead the way.
But then the storage is what everyone's looking for. Okay, these are the Stone Lord's goods. Okay, and there are 2 Mindflayer parasite specimens, so that'll take us up to 17 here. Now we're going to have another interaction with Valicia later, I believe. I don't think you can have it here. We'll see if she moves up here again. I don't think you can while she's searching the boat. Yeah, not while she's searching the boat. You'll have another interaction with her later, and you want to have Jaheira in your party when you have that interaction. The short story, and I don't mind a spoiler on this, the short story is that she is a harper who has infiltrated the guild to keep an eye on their activities.
Still breathing, despite everything. Need to find a way forward. Wish I had a bag
Some more
with holding.
crafting supplies. We'll just do some quick searching around here. And now we have a passageway here. And we can do our last bit of searching
protects me.
in here. We're going to find quite a few camp supplies in here. There's a note, if you can find it here. Okay, so this is the stash. This is the Stone Lord's stash here. Even though they don't show up on left alt, all of these things are sellable. That are sitting on top of the barrels.
Onward in her name.
And we'll run just a couple of minutes long while we finish up our searching in here. Won't take us all that long. Okay, now in here, don't forget that you can pick up the paintings. And the paintings are worth decent amounts of gold to carry around and sell. Kairos's warning here. This is about the last person that tried to take from the stash. Obviously got hung upside down. Didn't go well for him.
Looks like a trap there. Never a dull moment.
And I had my thief gear on throughout all of that. There needs to be a quick change button. You know, like hot swapping between kits. That would be a great quality of life improvement. And here you have the Bone Spike Boots. So you have a +1 bonus to armor class and saving throws as long as you are not wearing armor or holding a shield. This works great for your unarmored defense barbarians and your monk class. Obviously, looking at them, that's what they work for. You get an increased jump distance, and you also get Brutal Leap. We've seen Brutal Leap before with the Minotaurs, where they leap toward a target, and then in a small AoE around the landing area, you can possibly knock targets prone. Okay, so as a bonus action, you can do that. It's a great set of boots to have for a couple of different builds. And then down here you have the treasure crates. And if you search it, it's fairly underwhelming, just like the treasure crates behind
On my way.
why can't I think of his name? The hobgoblin in the goblin camp. Very underwhelming. And now, don't forget, as was pointed out to me by my chat last time, there's a cragged rock here you can walk down.
There is work to do.
And one last bit of searching for some camp supplies, mainly down here. But again, a bunch of stuff that you can pick up.
Onward. I should take that.
And all of this stuff is going to get sold off. Yeah, I did, Philip. Thanks. Okay, so this gives you a map pointing to a secret breach in the wall of Worm's fortress. It looks like it could lead to the prison, and from there inside the fortress itself. This will put, we won't be able to see it here, but this is going to put a marker on your map for a back way to get into the prisons underneath Worm's Rock Fortress. You don't need that to know that it's there or be able to use it. This just puts a marker on your map about it. The eagle feather is a great crafting ingredient. And you have the rules of the Stone Lords. Basically, honor among thieves.
All right. What now? Moving in.
Okay, we're going to head back up top. And that will lead us to the end of today's live stream.
Let's see.
Okay, so there are a few other things that we can search on the way out. There's going to be some crafting supplies and that sort of stuff. But for the most part, we have now opened up most of Rivington. A couple of things that we're going to do now that we no longer have to worry about Orin is we can go have a conversation here at the blacksmith. There's an opportunity to buy some items here that can be useful for us, but we don't have to worry about dealing with Orin anymore. So we're also going to have a conversation with somebody outside of Sword Coast Couriers as well. We will have a conversation with Angeliron the blacksmith here, and we are going to adventure into the Circus of the Last Days. And we will have a conversation with somebody in there who also could have been one of Orin's doppelgangers. But we're going to do that in next week's episode before we work our way into Sharessa's Caress and having a conversation here with Raphael and Voss and all of that good stuff. So, brings us to a good point to save here. Off stream, I'm going to be doing some inventory cleanup. So I'm going to pick up a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to go sell it all off and then come all the way back here so that we start next live stream in this same exact spot. But I'll do all that off stream so you don't have to watch it. So, as always, thank you all for being here. My chat, you guys are always great. Love the interactions with all of you, and as always, without your support, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jorbal saying until next time, fare thee well.